one new message.
Hi Alastair, it's Dave. I'm going to Scaffold to have a look at this new line. Hope to see you there bright and early. I'm going to set off about 5:30. Okay, see you then. Bye.
Yeah, at the end of last year I went up and had a look down the wall and thought it was all possible. And then earlier this year I spent a couple of days on a shunt, but I couldn't really string any of it together because it was a bit too cold and wet. Back in a minute over there. That was completely on off was that move. It feels nice here, like, you know what I mean? Nice one. Well done. Well done, that man. It's pretty tight at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. I was tired on this top. I thought it was coming off there. I wasn't getting it back anymore. But there's one move lower down, it was full on, like, absolutely
you just caught it, didn't you?
I just, you move in and you just get that little cam in, it just gives you that little pump in your forearm. That when I got that hold with my right hand, I couldn't feel what I was pulling on. I thought, well, I just have to throw one on.
Presumably you've got a hold. Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah.
You can. It was like a. Oh, he's off. No, he's held it.
Oh, it was a fight. It normally goes easier than that, but that was a bit of a fight. Which, well, I'm glad it's over. Well, I'm glad it was a fight in many ways and succeeded. I'm gonna go down. Even here.
I know, I was struggling with the camera, you got up a lot faster. I thought it doesn't look really solid on that.
Combination of extreme technical, physical climbing, but with the element of danger is kind of the next dimension, isn't it?
He's a real climber's climber.
Too hard and too bold. Nobody wants to sort of push the boat out like that, do they?
Worthwhile coming up for that.
Bold, hard, scary.
Dave's E9 might be blowing somebody else's E11.
I think if you can, sort of have to trust that he can do it.
He's just done route after route.
He was practicing it on a shunt in the rain.
But yeah, I'm amazed really that he has been so alone.
But you got this desire to do it. The desire is what you need.
You know, he's got a real love and enthusiasm for the mountains and the mountain world. That's what he lived for, really, mountains, and Dave's the same.
I don't feel like you ever have a bad day. I had a brilliant weekend last weekend in Pembroke. I've had a wet weekend here in Yorkshire, but yesterday it was pissing down here and water was coming over the top of the crag, and it was awesome. It was awesome to see, and it was a good day. It's a powerful thing, really, but you can't say to anybody what it is. You know, what is climbing? It's certainly not just pulling on holes. It's a very big picture. It's a very big picture, yeah. I know pretty much every buttress of rock in the Lake District. And the first day I went out, it was I've just never stopped. I don't think any piece of rock's worth dying for, but you'll certainly kind of put a bit more effort into something which is, or what I consider, a magical line. I won't say forget about the danger, but be aware of where you are and be in control of that, because yeah, things could go seriously wrong. It's not just doing the route, it's everything, the involvement with it, and generally you're here on a shunt and you're fooling around and it's coming together and you're really made up about that, or you even made up just actually being here. It's not just all about that one kind of, yes, I've done it. It's having like a project on a great line. It's, you know, I used to just class it as going bouldering on a rope at one point. And, oh yeah, but what a place to go bouldering. Yeah, I can't ever imagine stopping, because it's still all you ever think about, and like work is just a tool to get money to go climbing.
I think as time goes on, his roots will, well, they already have got a place in the history books, and I'm sure he'll just be as legendary as his grandfather.
A brief and almost accurate history of Birkett. The Lake District is situated in the north of England in the county of Cumbria. It was formed many, many years ago with the help of Robert de Val.
I just love the smell of lava in the morning.
Around this time, the Birkett family evoluted from little scuttlefish things and took to the hills. The Grand Patriarch Jim Birkett, grandfather of Dave Birkett, is now synonymous with Lakeland legend, climbing routes 20 years ahead of his time with nailed boots and static rope. In 1938, he put up the first extreme routes on the high crags of Scafell. In the 1970s, Jim's son, the Lakeland bucket Bill Birkett, also took up the climbing mantle, setting routes of an increasingly high standard across Britain, but especially within the lakes. His obsession with authoring has led to his completion of many tomes. His library now rivals those of Sir Chris Bonington and Sir Geoffrey Archer. This serial booker's greatest achievement came when he was successfully granted planning permission for a complex system of mirrors within the Lake District National Park, thus allowing him to photograph the most remote corners of the area without leaving his front garden. Bill was recently injured following a shelf collapse in his own library. Eventually born in 1968 of farming stock, Dave Birkett, the great-grandson of Tommy Birkett, was destined for greatness. His father Len left when Dave was very young, and so unlike everybody thinks, and despite his dexterous fingers and independently trained toes, honed from an early age, it was Dave's maternal grandfather Vic Gregg who stepped in to help raise him and become the inspirational father figure in the young Birkett's life. Dave got his passion for the fells through his early childhood years spent on the hills with his grandfather, being dangled off ropes on precipitous drops and left alone for hours in the mist. It was the farmer's life that set Dave's physique for climbing, and he swears that oversized wheelbarrows are the perfect early learning toy for the aspiring ascensionist. At about 12 years old, Dave was so fit he started running up and down the fells, beating pretty much everybody that raced him.
Right, great Gable. Scarfell before sunset. Come on.
But the pressure to win didn't suit Dave's serene character, and it took the mere distraction of motorbiking to draw him away from the fell running scene. In all this time, his hard work on the farm had accidentally evoluted Dave into a pretty strong young man. By the late 1980s, fate led Dave to a reunion with his paternal Uncle Bill, and together they would attempt many extreme lines across the country. A day out for the pair would usually end when Bill's calls fell on Dave's deaf ears and he would be pulled, swung or left unprotected on a ledge far from home. Dave has consistently ascended the hardest routes on the remotest crags of Britain, a feat only made possible by his oversized hands, positive ape index and the unique way in which the Birketts of Cumbria evoluted.
I know when I started walking up Scarfell in April and May, you just kind of, by the time you hit Mickledore at the top, you're almost bloody running up it just to turn over into the sunshine and see the East Buttress. It's like being reborn. It's like your energy for the year.
Kind of the next generation of climbing in a way, isn't it? Just thinking about his lines on the East Buttress. I can't bloody walk along the bottom of the East Buttress without being gripped up. It's just so steep and frightening. The East Buttress has always got that kind of psychological edge, really. There's that aura about it. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we used to walk at what Dad called the Falconer's Path up to Camp Spout, actually. The one crag he ever told me anything about was the East Buttress, and he said, yeah, it's the most bloody fearsome crag in Britain.
Just to the right of where the rope is, classic E3 called Overhanging Grooves. E3 5C, first stage being the hardest. And there's my crack line.
Oh, you did that one first, did you?
Yeah, first attempt that. It's called Welcome to the Cruel World.
I think I remember seeing that. How long ago did you do that?
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
This big flake line, it was originally borderline, but they couldn't continue up the flake. Chris Sowden and Martin Burzen's route, E7 6BC.
Yeah.
Mine's Another Lonely Day, which continues up the flake and up the groove.
Up the really thin?
Yeah, just follows that feature all the way.
Yeah.
Then comes back onto a ledge, belays, then up and down.
That's optimistic.
Just to the right of it, to the right of the corner, that's called Talbot Horizon. That's
We used to have a Talbot Horizon. It had a trip computer in it.
And I was up here with a guy called Dave Turnbull and this American guy who was over climbing. And we were up here having a laugh and they did Lost Horizon. And I was just practicing it, working it out.
Yeah.
And he said, I suppose when you do it, you'll call it Talbot Horizon. And we were laughing, and this American guy didn't get it at all. Like, you know, he couldn't picture his car. And then I climbed up with him, and then he went back to the States, and I was like, he fell off something and died.
Oh no!
To the left is my route in the New Horizons.
On the red?
Yeah, right on the red all the way. It kind of overhangs this way, but also overhangs that way as well. And you put a rope down, it's like way out here.
Really?
Unbelievable.
You just can't tell. You can't see that from here at all.
Really bold.
Looking at the water.
Yeah, if you see the water coming down, you can just see how steep it all is.
It's weird because if anything, it looks off vertical, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It looks slightly slabby.
The crux move on this red, you've got a side pole. Doing it on a vertical wall, you just got barn door straight off it, and you don't even want to do it because you think, oh, I'm going to barn door, but it so overhangs that way. Right. You do it, and it's just like you completely and utterly imbalanced.
Meld it, yeah.
miss that arete on the East Buttress. I mean, they're just there in your face. It's not like a variation or an eliminate, you know, it's an awesome line. It's amazing that Dave first did Telbo Horizons, was it 98 or something, and nobody else has, well, I think a few people have tried it, but nobody's has done it yet.
Too hard and too bold. I mean, nobody wants to sort of push the boat out like that, do they? Not at the moment anyway. You see like standards being getting higher and stuff, but it's a different thing mentally to do those type of routes.
I don't think it's about living new to the place. It's, you know, it's about enthusiasm, people getting fired up, and about imagination. And for some reason, the Lakes has dropped out of that category.
I remember ringing up Alpha Zackley, telling him about one of them, and he said, but that's the big one. That's the one everyone's been looking at, and Dave's gone and done it.
You've got to be happy in the mountains for one thing, and being on your own in the mountains. You've got this desire to do it, and desire is what you need. A big desire to do these routes, because if you don't do them, you're going to probably die.
He's gone elsewhere and repeated other people's routes of that standard, but nobody seems to be coming to the Lakes to try and do his.
Kind of fashion of climbing really is it's gone to sport climbing, you know, well protected climbing, low climb, bouldering, all the rest of it. And there aren't many people operating up on the high mountains. Back in the heyday of the, you know, the 70s and 80s, I mean, crikey, you used to have to, on the East Buttress, you actually had to queue for routes, you know. And it seemed a lot of people operating at that kind of level, you know, and it was like a boom time. But now you can go up on Scafell and cry, you know, some days you just don't, you hardly see anybody else at all. It seems that the fashion's shifted really from high mountains, those kind of places, to, you know, easy accessible, well protected climbs. But I think it'll change again, you know, I think it's a circle. I think it'll all, people will rise to the challenge eventually.
Yeah, well, it was my small brain theory. Did I tell you about that?
No.
My theory was he has such a small brain that he can only have one idea in it at a time. And that idea, so he can't let all these thoughts about failure come in.
Let's climb up. Keep going.
I've seen him get really scared on some slabs. We went to do Swastika, which is like an E2 on Etta slabs earlier this year, and I sort of engineered it so he was doing this kind of run out 5A.
Mary's 5A. Mary.
But you go like 20 metres or something, no gear, and he started like going, this is ridiculous. He was like having a right whinge, like, oh, this is I'm just fab, and he's having a right wobbler, and then he started trying to climb down again.
Mary, I'm gonna climb down.
I got really stern because I thought, well, if he climbs down, like if you start trying to down climb, you're going to have it, you know, you're probably going to be much more likely to fall off.
The thing about Dave is he's so tall, he's cheating really. He's got big long fingers and big ape index as well. You notice when he's climbing, must have really strong individual digits.
Yeah, the name for this injury is Popeye arm. And I should have really let go because I could feel I got the sequence wrong and I was straining a little bit too hard and just kind of pulled myself into the rock. Just kind of feel my arm feeling weaker and something in my shoulder just goes twang and kind of stretch, and yeah, it won't happen. It snapped off and me coiled back down into my forearm. If you just leave it, it kind of molds itself back onto the muscle that's already there. So instead of having two, you've just got, it's still working but lower down just through one tendon instead. My first accident, I fell off awkwardly and kind of knackered the tendons either side of my knee. I felt like it was a major achievement actually, just managing to bike uphill with one leg and the other one wobbling around in the wind. I never think I'm kind of competitive. I was still concentrating on a line on Scarfell. All the other local climbers were going up to Dove Crag and having a great time, and Al Wilson and certain people were opening new lines there, and Al had just opened this great route, which he ended up calling Dusk Till Dawn, because he started up a route called Bucket Dynasty, and he was going to call it the end of the Birkett Dynasty. And I think because even though we're all good friends, there is a slight bit of rivalry between North and South Lakes. I don't know really what it was about, but I heard that he was going to call the climb this, and just got your back up a little bit. The best thing I thought I could do is actually go and climb these climbs in the best style possible. I'd never climbed on Dove before, so the first day I went there I ended up doing 2 of the E6s and then a couple of the E7s all on site, and then I ended up doing a route of James McAfee's, which is an E8 on site. The best thing Al could have ever done was do what he did, because I had a 3-week spell on Dove Crag on sighting, better than I've ever climbed in my life.
Apart from Dave's hard climbing, you know, he's got a real love and enthusiasm for the mountains, the mountain world. Whether it's rescuing a sheep off a crag or, you know, flora and fauna, geology, you know, he's really interested in all that stuff, and he loves it. It's his passion.
Tom Walkington told us about this climb many years ago as the guy who first introduced me really to climbing, and I'd always come here and have a look, and once you turn the corner from over there, you see this erect. Yeah, that looks really good. But I'd never climbed there due to my Uncle Bill, and due to his father, my grandfather Jim, had discovered a rare fern, and Jim would never climb at the crags.
My days with my dad really spent looking at birds of prey around Britain and plants, rare plants, so I knew that it was a special site really for this forked spleenwort, just this tiny little fern.
So I abseiled down, perfectly clean, nothing growing on it, no heather, no ferns, hardly had to clean it at all.
I didn't want him really to you know, destroy that fern or the habitat.
I finally did this route over a couple of days. I went back and told Bill, and he was, I wouldn't say upset, but more kind of disgusted really that I'd climbed this route where the Birketts weren't allowed to climb.
It's a very complex crag. Those areas are pretty rotten, but it's not much use for climbing.
He came up here and we walked along, and we walked straight to the bottom of the crag, and he says, there it is. And there it is, the forked spleenwort, a very rare fern of the Lake District, and if anybody ever comes to climb here, they've really got to try and avoid. There's one patch there and another patch around there on the E4, which is actually getting quite a lot better now.
What did you think of the line once you seen it?
Well, it's alright, no, but I mean, you know, they're best left alone really, I think.
Didn't you do a route up there yourself in the end?
Well, that's true. That is true, yeah. I was tricked into it by some good friends of mine.
Did your granddad have his eye on this line then?
Yeah, it was a good excuse for him. He didn't want to climb it due to the fern. It's a nice place, and it's like a good visual line, and it was something which kind of kept me busy for a few evenings really. It's a nice place to be, isn't it? Put around it.
So yeah, it's a good crag. Stuff the fern.
You have one new message. Hello, David, it's your farmer here. A couple of sheep stuck on a stale. I wonder if you could rescue for me. So I see that one of them from the Great Lakes incident of 92 at Davy Ark. Anyway, what's your name? You're lovely lass and she's all Mary. Where is it she's from again? Is it South America? Anyway, David, back round when you're done. I'll sort you out with your nice piece of lamb. See ya!
Went alright, didn't it?
Aye, it's good that. What kind of grade would you give that?
You'd have to double it, wouldn't you, really? Whatever grade it had. S2.
S2.
That one, an S2.
Yeah. What's the hardest S grade you've done?
S3 once, but one of them jumped off. So it's kind of S2.5 if you count the dead one at the bottom. But you've only two hands.
What were the 3 sheep?
There were 3 sheep on one ledge. Grabbed all the 2 of them and the one jumped off. But out of the hundreds I've got off in the past, I've only lost 1.
Well, this is just like a water sports film that we're making
now.
Lie down now, son, yeah?
At least Ed shaved his back today anyhow, for the photo. What does Ed remind you of out of Greek mythology?
Oedipus.
He's laughing. I mean, it's charming, isn't it?
And Bill's got a photo of me, just kind of sat on that stone. My grandfather always told me, run out of toilet paper, always find a stone. And it's like you're wiping your ass on top of this stone. I guess you've got to see the photo, really. I've ever seen as good a year for plant life on the crags. See, now I'm just going to answer it by saying it was just like the most obvious blank piece without any roots on it. But you can see this really obvious line to the right of Fallen Angel, and then that got climbed by Burzins and Foster. So then the other only obvious challenge of big space was the wall to the left of Sixpence. So you abseiled down it and saw there was holes on it, and yeah, seemed to be the one to go for. And yeah, it's just a big blank bit of rock, really. If it didn't feel right, I probably wouldn't carry on. If you enjoy the first couple of moves, or you feel light, or you feel strong, I generally just keep on going. That move when you throw your right leg out, just because you never had that wire in the left, I didn't know about it, and somebody mentioned they'd found it. Your leg kept on going behind the rope. So if you fall off, you've got to kind of get your leg out from round, and I took that fall once. And I managed to get my leg round, and my feet went right down to that bottom slab where those first bits of gear are. When I actually did the first ascent, all the gear was placed on lead. Like Impact Day and like so many others, there isn't actually that much gear to place.
Yeah, and I've seen your gear and I wouldn't be happy with it if I was leading an E1. Your half wires and your cam just about in the rock.
I can't really remember how long it took me to do Impact Day, but I remember
trying it one night and coming really close and actually getting through the crux move, which I find really scary, but then blowing it on the top move, which you can because it's safe, but then having to come back the next morning and then do it all again, and I thought I'd done enough mental scariness to deserve the route, but I had to go through it all again on the second morning. Some people will come along and flash them in years to come, and you know, obviously it'll be a cleaner ascent than what I've done. As long as you're honest about how you climb that route as a first ascent, I think that's all that matters.
Okay, Ed, I'm on the top. I'm just going to have a minute. I'm just going to have a minute.
You know, that was a volcano. Oh yeah, there's two in the lakes, Angletown and Stickletown, and they're triple SI sites because of the remains of volcanic craters. The depth of it goes down to the core of the earth. That's why it's always warm. Have you never seen it froze over, have you? No. Yeah, but that's you, isn't it? That's you cheating.
Walk down that lonesome road all by yourself. Don't turn your head back over your shoulder and only start to rest.
I don't know why people think I climb, but a lot of it is just to escape absolutely everything, just to be on my own. You're in no rush to do them at all, and you're actually sad when it finishes because it's like that time that relationship you have with that route is gone.
And warm my heart. I'm not beyond this road tonight. Sorry for yourself. It doesn't save you from your troubled mind. Walk down that lonesome road all by yourself.
If I wasn't enjoying it, I wouldn't be doing it, you know, and as soon as I stop enjoying it, I'll stop. If the energy wasn't there, I'd stop tomorrow. Yeah, it was 14 years ago when I climbed that, and they were given E8 and E9, and out of the routes I've done, I think Caution and if 6 or 9, yeah, they're certainly harder than anything else I've done. Really going to hurt yourself on both of them, and the climbing's really hard. When I say, oh, you're going to hurt yourself, you imagine walking away, oh, I've hurt myself, I've twisted my ankle, but You know, when I say hurt yourself, it means you're probably going to kill yourself. But once you commit on this, that's it, you're committed. If somebody else had opened that line, it would be the route I'd probably most want to do in England. Not as if it's a shabby little route somewhere, it is a gobsmacking wall. You don't want to keep on thinking, oh yeah, upgrading things because you've gone back on them again, and it's probably a bad policy to do that, because you know, I think the grades at the top level now, they seem to be going exploding really into bigger numbers when there's probably small gaps between them.
Didn't seem very long after that when if 6 9 was done, I'd down this route as well myself and had a look at it, and it just seemed so far away that you know, I probably had done it once, had a look at it, just couldn't see it going at all. Dave got interested in it, and I'm not exactly sure what year that was, but it was you know, it's a really hard route, and since then a lot of people have been and looked at it. Some big names, like I think Leo's looked at it, and you know, obviously they just all come away and try and forget about it.
You see where that ivy is in the middle? Yeah. On the wall. Basically, it goes straight up the middle of that wall to that break. Yeah. And then traverses right at the break and goes up, finishes up like this E5 corner at the top. But basically, right at the middle of that blank wall.
Feeling good today?
I'm not feeling good today.
But on site, can you remember moves? Yeah. How long was it? 8 years ago? When did
90. I think it might have been something like 92.
92?
But you're still foul running then?
You're still chasing girls on your motorbike.
Yeah, I found out it was a lot better once you got off your motorbike and stopped running them over.
Oh, I've got one! Oh, no. Sorry.
When I first did, if 6 was 9, I just left my rope here all the time, so I'd just come here, run up after work, bring my shunt, get on my rope, and I could just practice it. I started practicing a route to the left of it on this wall. So I'd set it up one day and I was like really looking forward just to coming back up and having a play on this other route. Left my rope here like I did the time before, came up this night, walking up, didn't even look up to see if there's any rope here or anything, because you totally expect it to be here. Came here, where's my rope? Bloody hell, it's gone. Went round the top, all the belay taken off and everything. And then I was climbing at Shepherd's Crag and I met these two lads from Carlisle. And I said, have you been up at Iron Crag? Yeah. I said, did you nick me rope? He said, yeah. I said, do you want it back? He said, of course I bloody want it back. I haven't got it back yet. No. But the thing was, I was so excited about coming up here, and it was like, I haven't been back since. It destroyed my energy for the route. He just stole me bloody rope, the bastard.
The thing is with Dave's grading, you know, and he'll laugh at this, but you know, he hasn't got a bloody clue how to grade routes. Dave's E9 might be blowing somebody else's E11, to be honest with you. I mean, the real truth of the matter is that Dave's E9s, nobody's doing them.
It was hard because I was writing for a column for On the Edge at the time, and it was hard to kind of express just how hard this thing was, you know. And people didn't really believe it because it was in the lakes, and the lakes then was sort of looked at as a bit of a backwater, and it didn't really get the sort of acclaim and that, you know, it really was due. And now, if people went back on it now and had a look at it, they'd be absolutely shocked, I reckon, to just how hard it is.
So is it E9? No, it's probably much harder, like.
ever since I started new routing, I'm not into doing average new routes. I want them all to be good, or really good quality lines, or something special about them. I've been to look at every crag I think's of any decent size, and you'll drive up Wasdale and you look across at the screes, but you never really look at the gullies and the features on the hillside. And I went to Camcrag probably about 12 years ago now. One of my climbing partners, a good climbing partner called Paul Cornforth, well, it was his wedding, and then the day after, just to walk off my hangover, I thought I'm going to go and have a look at this crag. And yeah, I went up there and I was completely and utterly blown away by it. Kind of forgot about Camcraft until, yeah, a couple of years ago when you went back there and you go, bloody hell, why didn't they do this route straight away? Because it's just so utterly fantastic. The more time you spend walking around the hills, the more time you actually now prefer these little kind of hidden away gems. Yeah, just like little forgotten corners or secrets that the over-touristed or overpopulated Lake District doesn't really have many of anymore, and well, you won't see anybody else. You are definitely the first person to touch anything or even stand at the bottom of it, almost even kind of look at in awe. And yeah, it's quite special, and that little bit of wilderness we kind of kid ourselves that we've got in the lakes, yeah, they're very hard to find.
They are really obvious challenges, aren't they? You know, they're fantastic lines. They're not contrived, they're just so bloody hard that nobody else has ever done them.
I think everybody gets themselves fired up differently, and you get a lot of people like with the power screams on routes. I can't do it at all.
Very American, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'd fall off laughing. I'm having to slap a little bit for a hole. It's generally going wrong a little bit.
Have you ever had a belay going, go on, send it, yeah!
Oh mate, you'd get lowered down and punch him, wouldn't you? I don't think I could ever get to the top of something and go, yeah! I don't know, I just haven't got that in me. It's just like, it's all kind of calm. That energy's always kind of working inward and making it all nice and smooth. It is, but it works for some people, it's what works.
But yeah, I'm amazed really that he has been so alone. Well, you know, suddenly a new generation of kids come along and they couldn't care less about, you know, what other people are worried about, and suddenly it just moves on again.
One of the things he hasn't got with this not being sponsored, he's got no pressure on him to go and do these things, so it doesn't really matter except to him, and he can please himself, which is fantastic.
Maybe one line on Scarfell, which I think is an awesome feature, but it's just too hard. It's just like, it is the next level. You're climbing like 9A, 9B French with no gear, and I'm 38, I ain't gonna get there. It's a shame, really, but.
It's closed in a bit now, isn't it?
I think it's gonna lift.
I love your Cumbrian optimism.
Hey lads, come have a look at this.
Oh, what is it?
You've gotta be kidding.
What is it? What's that? It's like a cave. Where does that go?
Just follow me. Flipping heck, a bit dark.
Where's this going, Dave?
Yeah, we're gonna be long. I need my tea at 5.
Not much further now, lads. Just up there where the light is.
Flipping heck.
Which valley's this? Is it Langstrath? I've never been there. Is it? No.
Nobody knows about this valley.
So have you got any projects here?
Yeah, I've got this one line.